two-time world champ, over 40 fights. Where did it all start? Like, is there a way you see the fight going?
Yeah, look, I definitely feel like, it's going to be brains versus brawns. A long time ago, in 2015, 50 Cent robbed me for 1.1 million 50,000.
Wow.
So 1,150,000 is what he robbed me for. The greatest learning experiences in my life came from hanging out with Prince Naseem Hamed. It was so cool because he was like, man, where's your bags? Where's your luggage? And I was like, it's in the car. He's like, good, get it, because you're staying with me.
Wow.
So I was staying with the prince, you know. I stayed with him and his family. And
what's his name? Come on.
Thanks for coming, bro.
All good, man. Thanks for having me, bro.
How's the press conference?
Press conference was good, man.
Just got back?
Now I was in and out sort of thing. I just flew up on a day, did the press conference, and flew home.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Appreciate you coming on. I know you're busy. You know, you got fight camp and stuff.
Nah, all good, man.
Really
I'm happy to be. Definitely happy to be here.
Talking about the press conference, how hard is it? Like, I saw clips of it, and you handled yourself well, very respectful, confident. But how hard is it to like stay confident? Stay respectful and not, because you want to sell the fight on one end of the stick.
Well, man, look, it's not my job to sell the fight. It's the promoter's job to sell it.
True.
And all I got to do is turn up, be professional, and just be who I am.
Yeah.
I'm not going to change who I am to sell tickets.
Yeah.
I'm just going to be me, man. At the end of the day, I respect every athlete that gets in the ring. It's not an easy sport, and you know, you just got to give everyone respect. That's what it is. It's that respect factor. You know, once you get in the ring and you've earned that respect, and you know, Jacob's definitely earned my respect. I've shared the ring with him before in sparring, so I know what kind of a guy he is, and I know what he brings to the table. He's definitely hungry and determined, and he has the same mentality facing him.
Yeah.
I have that same determination, same hunger.
Yeah.
So it's going to be a great night.
Talking about earning respect, fair to say you've earned yours. Two-time world champ, over 40 fights. Where did it all start? Like body punch?
No, I didn't start at Body Punch. It started at Southside Boxing many years ago. Actually, no, it didn't start at Southside. It started at
PCYC?
the PCYC in Sutherland.
Yeah.
So at 12 years of age, I walked into the Sutherland PCYC. Shortly after that, I connected with the trainer who became somewhat of a father figure to me. His name was Harry Hamoud, and he guided me to 17 professional fights and 113 amateur fights.
Wow.
So we had a great journey together, and Harry still plays a big role in my life. He's still somewhat of a father figure, and you know, nothing but respect and love for him. But the journey of boxing started at the age of 12, and I'm now 36 and still carrying on.
When did you go pro?
I turned professional, I think it was in 2004.
How old were you then?
I was just a few days shy of my 19th birthday.
So about 7 years of building your craft.
Yeah, so I did my apprenticeship as an amateur. I had 113 amateur fights, and then
that's a lot, man.
Yeah, shortly after.
Common?
Yeah, it's pretty common for, you know, fighters internationally. Not really in Australia, but you know, I was very active and fought a lot. But you know, I could have had a lot more.
Yeah,
definitely could have had a lot more. But 113 is where it ended. And after missing out on the Olympic Games, I decided to call it a day and try my luck in the professional ranks.
Yeah, wow, that's a big journey. So you went 21-0 undefeated before your first loss. What's it like to like have that run and you knock up, you know, 10 straight wins, still undefeated, 15 straight? What's that like? Is there a lot of pressure?
No, it's not. No pressure, man. I just used to love the sport of boxing. I loved it, and I still do love it. I love the winning feeling, and you know, obviously when you're coming up, there's no room for error. And I did get to 21-0. I won my first world title on my 21st professional fight against Zolani Morali, which was the IBO Super Featherweight world title. And then shortly after that, I challenged Stephen Luevno for the WBO featherweight world title. And you know, a lot of things went on in camp. You know, the fight was on, the fight was off, the fight was on, the fight was off. It was one of those sort of things. Then I eventually got there, and I just didn't have that same determination that I had when I fought Zolani Morali. I felt like I was being handed a dud deal, and you know, sometimes that plays plays in your mental.
Yeah.
And I went in there and I had a really lackluster performance, and I lost the decision, 115-113 decision, which is a very close points decision. But I could have did so much more in that fight, but I didn't. And but I guess that setback paved the way for the comeback, and that's when I really got serious about what I was doing. You know, it was like the second phase of my career.
Was it just a loss that kind of flipped the switch, or?
Yeah, definitely. I woke up to myself. You know, I realized I was going to have to work a lot harder, and that my skills were just not going to be enough to get me through. I was going to have to go to that next level, especially if I wanted to compete at the highest level for championship fights. So I connected with Billy Hussein and, you know, restructured my whole approach to the sport of boxing, and, you know, the results came after that.
Yeah.
Shortly after that, you know, 10 fights later, Billy Hussein and I won our first world title together. Went on to make several defenses of the title, and had a fantastic run.
What's it like winning your first title? Sure, you've spoken about it a lot, but what's that?
I mean, winning, for me, when I won the IBL world title, was like an absolute dream come true. It was all the pressure that I'd put on myself for years, that I was going to be champion of the world, that had finally, that moment had finally arrived. But then to win the IBF featherweight world title, which was
One of the top 4 belts.
yeah, one of the like premier titles, and to have followed in the footsteps of Prince Naseem Hamed, who had beaten Tom Boom Johnson for the same world title, to follow in the footsteps of Jeff Fennick and Johnny Famechon in Australian boxing history, was absolutely mind-blowing. I just was so proud, and I couldn't believe that I had, you know, cemented myself as a 2-time world champion in Australian boxing history.
After leaving, like after the fight, you get your title. After leaving the ring, what's 2 hours after the fight like? Is it you still buzzing?
Oh, yeah, buzzing. I was buzzing for days, man, days. I
Imagine.
remember after winning a world title, coming back to the change room, all the dancing and carrying on that went on in the change room. And then, you know, I went home and my mum made me a tea, and she made me a cheese sandwich. And my cousin, Amir, who was really close with me at the time, still very close today, he slept over. And my dad was like, you're going to sleep in the big room today, you know what I mean?
Wow.
I took me and my cousin Ahmed slept in Dad's room, and we put the world title in between us.
Mad.
It was unbelievable, man. And then when we woke up in the morning,
Just like children.
I swear it was like we talked all night. We're like, cuz I couldn't believe it. I'd done it. I won the IBF world title. It was what I dreamed of like for so long. And he was like, you did it, man. And when we got up in the morning, we ran the biggest muck. We had a big poster of Jorge La Cierva, the guy that I fought, and we put the belt on his on his picture, and we're like, this is the closest that La Cierva will get to this title. we had so much fun with it, you know. And I remember for at least the next month, I drove around everywhere with them the belts in my car.
Yeah.
Took them out, took photos. Yeah, it was, like them titles sat front seat for months.
Yeah.
Months.
Let's talk. You mentioned your father. How much of an impact did he have on you as a boxer and as a man in general?
Well, my dad, man, he was very supportive. He didn't really want me to box. I mean, when I come to him as a young boy and said I wanted to do a bit of boxing, that he never thought that I'd get to the point where I wanted to go and fight for world titles. And even when I spoke to him about it, he didn't really believe that I could. He'd never shot me down. But
It's a high mountain to climb.
Yeah, he was telling me things like, Dad, you know, people like Prince Naseem are world champions, you know, Dad, you know. And I was like, Dad, trust me, I'm on the same level. I'm going to get there, Dad. I'm going to get there. And he was like, Inshallah, say Inshallah. So he never really shot me down. He always just told me to say God willing. And, you know, he supported me. He come to all my fights and things like that. And then, you know, when I won the world title, man, he was like the proudest dad ever.
I could see. I watched some footage this morning, actually. See,
he's
in the ring, right?
My dad at the time, I could tell you, he was suffering from really, really bad back pain. Like extremely bad back pain. But the joy of me winning the world title, it was like he felt no pain, and he was like picking me up, putting me on his shoulders, and I was like, they're going to hurt your back. He's like, don't worry, you know?
Yeah.
He was so proud, man. And obviously that's what made me so proud, you know, just to see my dad so happy. And
I can only imagine, bro, because, you know, you're quite a new father like myself.
Yeah.
And at work, I watch just swimming carnivals go on, and the kids And I just get like goosebumps, bro, watching him, thinking when my daughter's doing swimming carnival, just like a school swimming carnival, I can't wait to watch her.
Yeah,
Like,
it's definitely,
so-
man. It's like, as you said, we're fathers now, and when I see my son
do anything.
anything that he does, I'm in such awe of him. I'm like, man, that's crazy.
Yeah.
Even like the things that he says,
Yeah.
or the way that he carries on. I'm like, where did he learn that? It's like, so I get really, really excited, and
Must be a crazy
I know my father, man. Cause like, I remember when I won the world title, my dad wanted to drag me everywhere with him, man. Every meeting, every everything to do with the Islamic community, every outing, he was like, "You got to come with me. Bring your belts." And so I was like,
You would have brought it up in every conversation.
everywhere, man. My dad was so proud, and like, I was happy for my dad, I was happy because he was able to show his son off, and not many people can say, "Hey, my son was world champion twice over."
Yeah.
Like,
not many
a handful, seriously.
Yeah. And not many people can confidently just say, like my dad's proud of me.
Yeah.
Like I feel like as young men at the time, it's something that you kind of really strive for, crave for your dad to say, I'm straight, I'm proud of you, and really mean it.
For sure, man. I like, you always want your dad to be happy with you, That was the thing. Like, I was always trying to impress my dad with everything that I did, him and my mum. I was always trying to be that good boy, what I mean? Because, growing up as a young boy, I was, I was a little bit of a terror.
Yeah.
I was a bit of a terror, and then I found boxing, and boxing changed my life, what I mean? Obviously, I started getting better results at school, and, I started making my dad really proud because, every parent wants their kid to do well at school. They always want them to get a good education. But me, I was, I was a terror as a young boy. Even though my mum and dad won't say that, they'll say, but I remember, always getting into trouble and, starting fights at school and things like that, getting caught up in a lot of fist fights in the playground. And finally, once I found boxing, it really just changed my life.
It seems to make like young guys a bit more disciplined. They like even outside of the gym, like they stop punching on at school and stuff. Like I feel like whenever a young guy goes into boxing, it's like boxing's number one, but they also are very disciplined outside of the ring.
Yeah, that's what the sport of boxing does, man. It teaches you discipline. It teaches you to be level-headed and to think things through. Because, the sport of boxing, it's brains, not brawns. It's a thinking man's sport. And come March 19th, you're going to see that because I feel like I've got the brains and my opponent's got the brawns. And I'm going to show him how brains overcomes brawns.
What's it like being at the top? You reach the mountaintop, which is very rare for an athlete to do. But what about in terms of like, once you're at the top, I feel like everyone's coming after you. Not only other fighters, but, brands and people who might want some sort of money or success. Did you feel like you're getting pulled in so many different ways?
Sometimes. You see, the thing is that, the hunter becomes the hunted. Once you become champion, if you rest and you don't continue to put in that hard work thinking, I've already made it, then you'll quickly lose it.
Mm-hmm.
But with me, I was so determined to keep it. I loved.
Wasn't hard to get out of silk sheets.
I never was in them. Never was in them. I always tried to envision myself as a poor kid running in the streets of Mexico. I would always envision that I was, in the struggles. I never wanted to feel like I was the king of the world. And I always tried to remain level-headed and grounded, And obviously, when you become world champion, things change. You start to earn bigger paydays, more money. You can buy nicer things, which I did do. But at a certain point, it started to become all about the money for me. It started to become about, I'm fighting for the money.
Yeah.
Like, I need to get paid, you know what I mean? Oh, you're going to get paid 200. No, I need more than 200,000 for that fight. What are you talking about? So you start arguing.
Yeah.
Where before, when I was coming up, I would have been like, man, 200,000, wow, that's amazing.
Just give me the fight, yeah.
That's right. It was not about the money. Even in the amateurs, it was never about money or anything because we were fighting for trophies. All I wanted was that medal that said winner on it. And then when my gaze started to shift from the...
why do you reckon it shifted? just because you
It's
felt
not.
like you deserved it?
It's a natural thing. I felt like I deserved it. I felt like I'd worked so hard for so many years that I deserved to get paid. Because it is prize fighting.
Yeah.
That's what we do. We fight for prizes. We fight to earn money.
Mm.
You know, we fight to earn money for our families, to give ourselves a better future. That's what it is. Prize fighter.
Mm.
You fight for prizes.
So what made we'll touch on the 50 Cent thing. I know you've spoken about it a lot of times, but so long story short, that stuffed you over. How did you deal with the backlash of that and the effects of that and losing the title? How did you deal with that mentally?
I didn't deal with it too well when it first happened. You know, I mean, obviously, you know, when I lost the title to Evgeny Gradovich, I was devastated. You know, because so many things went against me in the lead up to that fight, and I just but I remember always thinking, you know what, this is only happening by the will of Allah. It's fine. Whatever Allah's written is going to be okay. You know, it's no problem. It's like this. If I win, I pray. If I lose, I still pray. Because really I know what the end result is and what the end destination is. To me, this is just, a train stop. You're born, you go through the train stops, and then you leave. And that's how I feel. And I just feel like right now, everything that I do in my career and everything that I've been doing in the past, I always felt I was doing it for a future family that I was going to have. Now I have that family.
Yeah.
You know, so everything that I did earlier was always about my future family. You know, I'm going to have kids one day. I'm going to need this and I'm going to need that. So I always was thinking about the bigger picture. But when I lost to Gradovich, obviously, and I didn't deal with it too well, I was heartbroken because I felt like 50 Cent and in his team, a lot of it, you know, was working against me. You know, and things happened, and then the rematch happened, and then when the rematch happened, I felt like all I needed to be was 10% better than I was in the first fight, and I'd be victorious. And then, well, that wasn't the case because he came, like, even though I prepared really well, there was just something about him on that night. You know what I mean? And we were both drug tested, and we were not happy with the testing that was done in Macau in China.
Is this post or pre the fight?
Right after the fight.
Yeah.
And he refused to do the urine sample in front of us. So, you know, we knew that he was dirty. And then, funny or not, a couple of fights later, he tested positive to steroids and to, you know, banned substances.
A couple of fights later.
So that just shows that he was doing it, you know what I mean? So, and then that was the end of it, man. But unfortunately, you know, you can't turn the clock back. It is what it is. And, you know, the journey, for me, the journey's just been amazing. And the story that's being told is amazing in itself because it's a story of, you know, sometimes you could be a really, really wealthy person, extremely wealthy, and you can lose everything because it happens. And it's happened to many people. The point is that if you're willing to put in that hard work and that sacrifice that you put in to get to that point, you can get back there. But the problem is that sometimes when you're at the top of the mountain and you fall off, you're not willing to go through the sacrifices of getting back there. But with me, I was always willing to go back. I was always willing to go back to the grind and to the grime.
Because you love it.
Because I love it. To get back to that point. Hence the reason why I am today 36 years of age and still fighting at the top of the mountain. You know, my next fight is against Jacob NG, who was rated number 5 with the WBO and I think number 8 with the IBF. So that just shows you I'm still competing at the highest level, even after all of these years.
Yeah.
Even after so many interviews where people said to me, you were done. I'm not done.
Yeah.
And I won't be done when they say I'm done. I'll be done when I say I'm done. And I'm not going to make anybody make me feel like it's time for me to walk away until I feel like it's time to walk away. When I reach that finish line, then I'll know. And as I said the other day at the press conference, in my heart of hearts, March 19th, I'm going to win. But if for some reason God and the Almighty and Allah has willed for me not to win, then that would be me reaching the finish line. Because I always said, if I ever lost a fight on Australian soil to an Australian fighter, then that would be the time for me to walk away.
Yeah.
You see, I have had 6 losses in my career, but they've all been at the top of the mountain. the complete top of the mountain. You're talking about first loss to Steven Luevno, second loss to Evgeny Gradovic, who I lost to twice. Lost the title, then I lost a rematch. Then Takashi Miura, which was for the WBC super featherweight world title in Japan. Then Tevin Farmer was for the IBF super featherweight world title, which was on Australian soil, but it was against an American fighter at the top of the mountain. And then there was Tamir Khan, which I stepped up, stepped up several divisions to face
on late notice.
Yeah. So I've only ever lost at the top of the food chain.
Yeah, to top international.
So I've either won or lost at the top of the food chain. And so if I was to lose to Jacob NG, then I would definitely know that it would be time for me to say goodbye to the sport of boxing. Would I miss the sport? Yes, I would miss it. I love the sport of boxing. I love competing. I love the thrill of hearing fans screaming. But that would definitely be the time for me to say thank you very much to the sport of boxing and congratulate Jacob NG, which I don't think it's going to happen. I really don't. I don't see how Jacob NG has the skill set to beat me, And unless of course things go really well in his favor on that night, I don't see him winning.
I guess it's important as a boxer to not like be ignorant and say, nah, it's not going to happen. You got to like acknowledge that like there's a chance of it's going to happen, but I don't think it will. And I'm going to do everything I can to make it not happen. So how's the mindset? How do you balance confidence and like being realistic with a game plan and stuff leading into a big fight like this?
Well, it's very important that when you're going into a fight like this, you don't think lose and you don't think what if. They're the two things that I do not think about. I don't think lose and I don't think what if. I do everything in my power to make sure that I'm going to be victorious by, number one, training the best that I can train, leaving no stone unturned in the preparation, knowing that once I get to that venue on the night of that fight, that I've done everything in my power to make sure that I'm going to win.
Yeah.
Now, sometimes things don't go your way, and that's life.
Yeah.
A lot of things happen in life, but mentally, I'm preparing myself to win. Now, if something happens and I don't win, then that's Allah's will. That's not my will, because my will is to win.
Yeah.
But whatever Allah has willed for me will be what Allah has willed. Now, I do ask Allah to grant me victory, and if He does, I'll be forever grateful. And if He doesn't, I'll still be grateful.
Yeah.
And as I said to Jacob NG on the night of the fight, his name's actually Jacob Ng, but they call him NG because they don't know, but his name's Jacob Ng. I said to him, look, brother, as long as you and I both leave the ring safe and healthy, I'm happy.
Yeah,
that's all I care about. That's it. That's all I care about.
Yeah.
Because at the end of the day, he has a family and I have a family. He's the son of a mother and a father, and I'm the son of a mother and a father. And the sport of boxing can be an unkind sport, but I just pray that on the night of the fight, he and I both leave safe, inshallah.
Yeah. I guess what I was referring to is like how you saw Teofimo, his mindset, he kind of overlooked. It was a bit too confident. So it's good to see like that you have that balance and you have good people around you to help you have that balance and a sane mind leading into the fight. Yeah, what's the team like around you?
Man, I got a fantastic team that starts from the ground up. Number one, credit has to go to my wife.
Shout out my cousin.
Yeah, seriously, my wife, you know what I mean? Like, people don't understand, you know what I mean, the stuff that goes into it. You know, obviously looks after all my food, my washing, you know what I mean, my you know, you have mood swings when you're getting ready for a fight. She deals with all of that.
Going into battle, man.
Yeah, no, she knows, man. She knows. You know, she looks after me. But then after her comes obviously my training team. You know, Billy Hussein, Angelo Sarandopoulos, Hussein, Meza Hussein, Skinny Hussein, my younger brother Yusuf, all the people around me. Then, you know, I've got the team outside of the boxing gym. You've got Angelo Sarandopoulos, who's my running coach. You got Atul Hakikat, who's my marketing manager. You got my brother Ahmad, who's been there from day dot. Yeah, so I've got good people around me. And don't get me wrong, I've made a lot of mistakes throughout my career, and you know, said things, tweeted things, wrote things that I shouldn't have said. But I've had great people like my brother Jihad as well, who's tried to filter a lot of the things that I've said. So I've definitely been trained really well to speak well, to carry myself well, to handle myself well. So I'm a product of that. And to top it off right now, I've got an amazing mentor, somebody who's been mentoring me for some time now, whose name is Sid David. And I think that's been one of the biggest pluses in my life today, is that I've had a mentor like him who's been there and supported me through so many mental breakdowns, because you have them. There's things that get to you, and he's supported me through every single one of them. And, you know, I think the hard work that he's put in is all starting to show right now.
Getting finer, like as you get older, I feel like kind of a bit like LeBron James getting, what's the saying, like like
fine,
wine,
fine, like a fine wine.
Yeah.
Well, I'm not a wine, but but by the grace of Allah and by the grace of God, I am getting better.
Yeah,
you know what I mean. Let's not get this wrong. I'm not the same fighter that I was when I was 20 and 25 and 26 and 27. I'm not. My skill sets have not diminished. But in time, you see life has its rights over you. And they say, "Dunya ilaha," which means life has its rights over you. And even though I'm now 36 years of age, I don't train the same way that I did when I was a kid. When I was a kid, if you said to me, run through that brick wall, I would do it.
Yeah.
Now, I say to you, hold on. If I run through that brick wall, I might break a bone. So I train smart, not hard.
Yeah.
And I've got the right team around me now who have made the adjustments to make sure that I can compete at the age of 36. And I've got great, you know, like people to look up to. Like, you know, I was very close with Bernard Hopkins once upon a time in my career. And Bernard Hopkins competed into his 50s. So what's to say that you can't compete into your 50s in the sport of boxing? And he competed into his 50s at the highest level. So for me, you know, when Jacob NG says to me at the press conference the other day that I'm going to show you 36 reasons why a 27-year-old is going to beat you. And I was like, you have no idea, my friend. We'll see you on that night. You're going to learn a serious lesson, a boxing lesson. I'm going to tell you to take notes.
Yeah.
Because I'm going to give you a boxing lesson.
Going to school.
That's exactly right. We're going to go to school. Yeah. And, you know, Bernard Hopkins, I watched him beat Kelly Pavlik when Bernard was 43 and Kelly Pavlik was 26.
Wow.
At the highest level. And I fought on the undercard.
Wow. What was that one?
That was on the undercard of Bernard Hopkins versus Kelly Pavlik. And I fought Stephen Loevenov, which was a fight that I lost. But I still managed to learn a lot of lessons that night.
We talked about, or we're still talking about having, you know, a team around you that support you. So you were at the highest highs, hanging around, rubbing shoulders with people like Mayweather, 50 Cent, Mike Tyson even. What would you say is the biggest learning from being around people of that status in this particular industry?
For me, hanging out with those guys was cool.
Or even did you train with them a lot?
I did. I trained with them. I ran with them. I boxed with them. I had dinners with them. I did everything with them. But the greatest learning experiences in my life came from hanging out with Prince Naseem Hamed, who was my childhood hero. And he was a major mentor to me as a young boy growing up. And I loved him.
Yeah.
And I still love him. You know what I mean?
What's it like to, like, the first time you met him? Because I had heroes growing up, like Sonny Bill to me, Jonathan Thurston, and my brother. Obviously, I looked up to my brother like he was my hero. But what's it like? Actually, I remember me and my brother were younger, and we were at, I think my dad took us to Brontier Beach, and we saw the Cowboys team walking up.
Yeah.
And one by one, all the players, me and my brother ran up to all of them. Matty Bowen, we ran up to, we were like, oh, where's Jonathan Thurston? I couldn't even care about any other player. Where's JT? Where's JT? And then we met him, and it was crazy. So what's it like meeting your childhood hero? Man,
it's the most unbelievable, like, it's just so surreal, man. And like,
it's like out of world. Doesn't feel real.
Man, I'll tell you right now, I remember I was 17 years of age, And when I met Nas for the first time, after being in the UK for a few days and waiting on him, and then eventually meeting him, man, I broke down into tears.
Yeah.
And he was asking me, Habibi, what's wrong? Why are you crying? And I was like, man, I can't believe I'm actually here with you. You know what I mean? In the flesh.
Where was he at that stage of his career?
He had just sort of stepped away from the sport of boxing, and he was still in a respectable shape.
Yeah.
But you know, it was so cool because he was like, man, where's your bags? Where's your luggage? And I was like, it's in the car. He's like, good, get it, because you're staying with me.
Wow.
So I was staying with the prince. You know, I stayed with him and his family, and what a unbelievable moment, man. Honestly, like the way he treated me was like I was his little brother. You know, and over the years, you know, he and I have had our moments of, you know, arguing and stuff like that, as you do with brothers.
Mm-hmm.
But we'd always manage to find our way back to, you know, telling each other we love each other. But it's so surreal, man. Imagine being a young boy and your childhood hero lives halfway across the world, and then you can eventually call that guy your brother.
Yeah, that's crazy.
That's the relationship that he and I have, you know.
That's
like,
crazy.
I remember being a kid, and he used to ring me in the middle of the night, you know, like because he didn't know the time differences and stuff. So he'd ring me at like 1 and 2 in the morning.
You have to answer.
And I'd be on the phone with him for like hours.
Yeah.
Then I'd got to get up and go to school. But I didn't care because he's like, Habibi, go back to sleep. I woke you up. I said, nah, I'm awake. And really, I was dead tired.
Yeah.
But I just wanted to talk. He just motivated me, man. He like, if he rang me at 2 in the morning and I had sparring the next day, I would go and spar unbelievable. Because I'd tell him, I got a big sparring session today. Habibi, do this and do that and do that. And I'm like, man, it was unbelievable. What a feeling.
Well, what about from a boxing sense, being around those guys like Tyson, Mayweather, Prince Nas, Amir Khan, even you've rubbed shoulders with?
Yeah.
What's your biggest learning from a boxing sense?
Man, it was just good to take their advice, you know what I mean? Like, you know, I had such good mentors, you know, not just Shane. I had Shane Mosley, who I lived with as well, Oscar De La Hoya, Bernard Hopkins. I spent so much time with these guys and learned so much, you know, and like the one thing you learn is just the sacrifice it's going to take. You know, watching how much they sacrificed to get to where they got to is incredible. And to feel like I followed in their footsteps. You know, they paved the way and I followed in their footsteps. The first person to tweet me after I won the world title was Oscar De La Hoya.
Wow.
I wish I could go back and find that tweet. But he was the first person to tweet me, which was incredible, you know what I mean? It's like, wow, to get a tweet from Oscar De La Hoya saying, like, congratulations, we always believed in you. That was awesome.
It's crazy. And now you've paved the way for people in this area. Does that come with, do you feel like it comes with a responsibility or any pressures in that way?
No pressures, but obviously there is a responsibility to do what was done for me to others. You know, and that's what I try to do now. I try to inspire the younger generation. Whenever a kid emails me or messages me and says, oh, I want to be just like you, I said, no. I pray that Allah makes you better than me, because I paved the way for you to be better than me. You what you need to do is outdo me, not be the same as me or on the same level as me. Do better than me. And they can't be like, oh, why would you say that? I said, no, because I want you to be better.
Yeah.
I'm not worried about people being better than me.
Yeah.
I was good at my time. You know what I mean? At the time when I was champion of the world, you know, that was my time. And I'm not saying that it's over, because come March 19th, once I deal with this Jacob NG, you know, the world's my oyster once again.
Yeah. I want to shift the tone a little bit to more about the mental. We're both fathers here, but as a father, you feel like, you know, you're a provider. Everything you do is for your family, for the future, right? So how do you deal with, because boxing is a very high pressure sport. How do you deal with boxing, being a father, which comes with its pressures, a provider, being a good husband? You're very family oriented, being family oriented to your extended family. That's a lot of, you know, weight on your shoulders in a way. How do you deal with that day to day?
Man, to me, it's just a natural thing.
Yeah.
It's so natural for me. I've always been such a caring person and always worried about others and not myself. And, you know, it's like today now with Barry and with Laith, Barry, my wife, and Laith, my son, I'd rather give them than give myself. And I feel like that's just a natural thing now, you know what I mean? Like, something happens and I'm like, oh, Barry, just keep it. Or Barry, get that for yourself. Or Barry, do this, you know what I mean? Because that's just a natural feeling now of wanting to, everything I do is for them. You know what I mean? Like, I love it. I love the fact that my son says, Dad, I want this, and said, Dad, I get that, you know what I mean? Like, I just love it. I love being able to be able to do that for them. You know, I think the pressure would be if I couldn't do that for them.
Yeah.
But I can do it. And Allah's blessed me with more than I deserve. And I've got a very good, you know, like, I've just got a good balance. I've balanced it very well. And I try my utmost best to just do everything for my family, my mum, my dad, my siblings, my wife, my son. They're the people that are important to me.
Yeah, I get you. Let's go to this fight. How did it come up? I'll just turn on the aircon while you're talking. Yeah.
So this fight with Jacob NG was something that was started manifesting a long time ago. When Jacob NG fought on the undercard of Brock Jarvis many years ago in Canberra, I was there live. And I remember the day after the fight ringing Jacob NG's manager, who was Angela DiCarlo, and I said, Ange, can we do the fight between me and Jacob NG? And Angela was like, look, Billy, I can't do it, you know.
Not ready? Or?
No, he goes, I've just spent so much money on, you know, getting this kid to that point, you know. For him to lose to you it just wouldn't be fair, you know. So he pretty much turned the fight down. And then something amazing happened. COVID hit. And when COVID hit, there was all these really good Australian matchups that were happening.
Because you couldn't do anything else, eh?
You couldn't bring international opponents in. And so while coronavirus was taking its course, Angelo had spoke to Billy Hussein and discussed the possibilities of doing Billy Dib versus Jacob NG. And of course, when they came to me, I was like, absolutely, let's go. You know, I was the one who sort of started the conversation a year earlier, and then it manifested. And I finally, you know, got the call from Billy Hussein, and he was like, do you want to do the fight with Jacob NG? And I was like, man, absolutely. Let's go. Let's get it rocking, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And so, you know, we've been preparing for this fight for some time now, you know what I mean? We weren't sure where we were going to do it because we were worried about coronavirus and all that stuff, but we eventually got to that understanding that the fight was going to be in the Gold Coast, and, you know, the borders were going to open and everything just fell into place, and now we're just shy of 3 weeks away.
Yeah. When did you start training camp? How far out?
I've been training for this fight for the last, say, I think it was like 10, 11 weeks.
Wow.
So I've been preparing for some time, you know. And obviously we didn't pick it up, like we didn't pick up the pace, but the pace has been really picked up in the last couple of weeks.
That's something you strategically, it's just like, do you have a set kind of routine for your training camp?
Yeah, we usually do like to put in, you know, anywhere from 8 to 10 weeks for a camp. And obviously I haven't been in the ring for some time now. The last time that I boxed was over a year ago against Joey Bailon, and not by any fault of my own. It was just simply because coronavirus.
Yeah, I remember I was at that one that was in Hurstville.
Yeah, but, you know, it's I'm back now, and I've been in the gym for some time, and I've been working hard, and there's been a lot of fights that were going to happen that didn't happen, you know, like me versus Kai McKenzie, me versus Bruno Tarimo. Now we're finally here, and Jacob NG is happening on March 19th, and the camp has been amazing. You know, the work that Billy Hussein's put in, and Angelo Sarandopoulos and the team there has been second to none. And, you know, I've tried to leave no stone unturned and no room for excuses, and turned up every day and done the best that I can. And I think that's going to really show on March 19th.
Without going into too much strategic detail, is there a way you see the fight going?
Yeah, look, I definitely feel like, you know, it's going to be brains versus brawns. You know, Jacob's a very tough guy.
It's a 12-rounder?
10-rounder. It's a 10-round fight for the WBO title and the IBF title, which is their intercontinental and international belts. And they obviously hold their weight in regards to getting you rated highly in the world of boxing. But I just feel like, you know, it's going to be a very strategic fight. You know, there's going to be times that I'm going to have to brawl. There's going to be times that I'm going to have to box. There's going to be times where I'm going to have to take the initiative. And obviously, you know, there's 10 rounds to make to get the result that you need. So I'll just work hard every round and make sure that I do what I got to do to make sure that I get the victory at the end of the night.
And God willing, you get the victory. What's next from there?
The sky's the limit.
Yeah.
Obviously, to be rated again in the top 5 in the world means the possibility of fighting some of these really highly rated guys in the lightweight division, people like Ryan Garcia, Devin Haney, Javonte Davis, Vasily Lemachenko, the possibility of even fighting George Kambosos, who is the unified champion in Australian boxing today. So the doors are definitely open. And as I said, I'm just going to take it one fight at a time. I'm not looking past Jacob. Jacob's the most important thing in my vision right now. So once that fight's done, and God willing, I'm victorious, then we can talk about that. But for now, my sights are simply set on Jacob NG and making sure that I get the win on that night.
I'm going to be there too, so I can't wait to be there. I forgot to touch on the Amir Khan, the super fight. What was that like, going to Saudi Arabia, first boxing event in Saudi Arabia?
Man, that was incredible because it was the first event to take place in Saudi Arabia. It was the first boxing event to take place, and to be part of history and to face Amir Khan, which was like not supposed to happen. Because I actually was thinking about it the other day. Amir Khan and I have been friends for some time, and many, many years ago in 2000, and I think it was 7 or 2000. Yeah, I think it was like 2009. Amir Khan and I were hanging out in LA, and I was staying with him and his father and a couple of his friends at his place in LA. And I was like, imagine me saying to Amir Khan that 10 years down the track, you and I are going to share the ring together.
It's crazy, man.
It was like, it wouldn't have made sense.
Yeah.
We were like, what are you talking about, bro? We're divisions apart,
Yeah.
And it's so funny that we actually did share the ring. And, we even caught up a few days before the fight. Sort of had a laugh about it, Because, and I said to him, Amir, I'm coming to knock you out. And he goes, well, I have to do the same thing to you. But, so, it's just crazy that we actually shared the ring.
Yeah.
But all in all, man, I made some really good friends out there. Met with some really cool people, and it was awesome to have like Lennox Lewis there. Chuck Liddell was there.
Wow.
One of my favorite guys, and a good friend of mine, Paulie Malinagi, was out there.
Yep.
There was some mad people out there, man. Like the boxing world, like sort of was there.
And then on top of that, you had all the Saudi Arabian princes probably.
Yeah, it was cool. It was cool, man. It was like really, really cool to feel like I was, going to get a chance to compete in front of all these guys. Unfortunately, Amir was just too big.
But massive.
He was massive, but that's all right, man. At the end of the day, we saved the show, and we put on a little bit of a show for the people. And although Billy Hussein threw the towel in round 4, it was still cool to share the ring with Amir Khan, and But one thing that I did learn is that there is reasons why there's weight divisions.
Have you seen it? He walked in about 10 kilos heavier inside the ring.
I walked in at 65, and he was about 77.
And what's your normal fighting weight?
I usually fight at 59 kilograms.
Wow.
Which is super featherweight, but I'm fighting now at lightweight, which is 61.2.
You saved the show, man.
Nah, it's cool, man. It was definitely worth it, and it was a life-changing opportunity for me in regards to being paid, really well, and being able to look after my family on another level.
It's crazy how, back when you say your gaze changed to that sort of thing and you thought, oh, I deserve it, God had it written that you were going to get that big payday. And
yeah, man.
You wouldn't have expected it.
I always think back to something my mum said. A long time ago in 2015, 50 Cent robbed me for 1.1 million 50,000.
Wow.
So 1,150,000 is what he robbed me for. This is what I came up short on my contract. And my mum said, one day Allah's going to find a way for that money to get back to you because that's your haq. And I was like, inshallah. I was like, inshallah, I mean, we'll see. But it doesn't matter,
Yeah.
Anyhow, it's so crazy because after all those years, when Amir Khan's manager turned up in Australia to ask me to take the fight with Amir, he basically was replacing the money that 50 Cent robbed me for.
That's crazy.
You know what I mean? So, first person I rang was my mum, and I said, Mum, you remember you said that? And she said, yeah. And I said, well, I think that money's just come back to me. She said, how? And I said, oh, I'm fighting Amir Khan. She's like, but he's your friend. And I was like, yeah, Mum, but it doesn't matter. I'm still getting paid, you know what I mean? She was like, but he's your friend. I'm like, Mum, but it doesn't matter because what you said actually is happening now.
Yeah.
And she was like, I always knew that Allah would find a way for it to get back to you because you're deserving.
Our parents are always right, man.
Yeah, they are. They are, man.
Speaking of that, it's crazy even to sit here with you and see you at family events, because I remember back in the day playing PlayStation 2, the boxing game. I used to play with you.
Yeah,
it was fun. And now it's crazy how life works. Before I let you go, I got a couple of questions just off the Instagram thing I put up.
Cool, man.
Someone asked, what's your daily routine?
My daily routine is pretty much wake up in the morning, get dressed, head to the gym for an early workout. I'm usually at the gym at around 9 o'clock for a 9:30 start. We box for, as long as we need to box for. Then I go home, try to get some breakfast in, chill out for a little while, then have lunch, and then I get ready for my afternoon session, which is either a running session or an agility session with my trainer, or a strength and conditioning session, or running or swimming, something like that. But we always mix it up, and that's pretty much the routine Monday to Friday. Saturdays, sometimes we either do strength and conditioning or agility session in the morning, followed by some sparring or whatever it is. And then Sundays pretty much the rest day, but I still try to get in a 5K run on Sundays.
Wow. What about another person asked, if there's one fighter you could fight from any era, excluding Prince Naseem, because that might be your answer, who would it be?
If there was one fighter that I could face, I would have loved to fight Barrera, Marco Antonio Barrera. Barrera was the fighter who defeated Prince Naseem Hamed.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, I'd love to have avenged Nas. And that fight there was talks of that fight happening, when I was coming up. I wish it did, and it didn't. But, today Barrera and I are pretty good friends. So, I message him from the time and he messages me, but he's a cool guy.
Yeah. Have you seen that Mike Tyson thing where he goes into the ring after Ali gets badly beaten? I can't remember who against.
Against Larry Holmes.
Yeah, and he says, I'm going to get him for you.
Yeah, I've seen that.
And he gets him.
I've seen it.
I think that's pretty cool.
Yeah.
And last question is, can you name 3 up-and-coming Aussie fighters?
3 up-and-coming Aussie fighters. I'm not going to talk about the guys who are there already, but 3 people that Australian boxing definitely needs to look out for, who are up-and-coming. I would definitely say, number 1, my brother Yusuf, who's 15-0, and will be appearing in his 16th fight on April the 1st. Obviously it's another step in the right direction, and with another win he goes to 16-0, and hopefully sometime down the track, in the not too distant future, he'll be fighting for his first, let's say regional title, and then hopefully get him right to the point where he fights for a world title. Other upcoming fighters that you could definitely look out for is, I'm just going to name people that I'm associated with. Yeah. I've got a young kid that I train by the name of Daniel Bashara, who's only 14 years of age, but he's showing some really, really good attributes. And I feel that, with age, he's going to get a lot better. He's already had 2 amateur fights. He's had 2 wins. And a young kid that I train by the name of Ali, who's 20 years of age, but he only weighs 47 kilos. But I definitely feel that he can make his mark in the sport of boxing.
Wow. Shout out to them. Hope to see their future rise. I appreciate you coming on.
Thank you for having me, man.
I can't wait to be in Gold Coast, and inshallah watch you get to victory.
Inshallah, man. Thank you so much for your time. Appreciate it, bro. Legend.